attack is going to give them as many rounds as possible. Invert being able to play onto this Phoenix and really utilize that run it back as they have been in previous games. I feel like that was a level of confidence that we really need to see in SOTR. So I think the Phoenix gives them that extra leeway as to where, you know, they're guaranteed rounds a little bit more, you know, as we continue.
Well, I like what I'm seeing from these two teams already, and it's time to actually get this underway. We're going to send it over to our casters for our first elimination matchup of the day.
Thank you so much, Ender. Yes, we only have 6 teams remaining in playoffs, and well, 2 more will be eliminated today as we get through our first match of this lower bracket bands, and it's good old Pearl.
Pearl is going to be a fun one too, because I'm also surprised that it's Sentinels that's picking up this map. I think they didn't have like the best of results the first time they played, then they wanted to play the comfort picks, and also bringing in Invert most recently as the sub, playing against Catface was putting absolute high numbers on this Phoenix. So I think they're trying to just leverage off that. But a comp in itself with a KJ, you don't really see that being played as much anymore here going into the current meta of Pearl, but maybe because of the neon changes most recently, you could slowly step away from the Vise. But if you're looking at like the VCTs or whatnot, even players like, for example, Kiko of Energy most recently went back from KJ to Vice to play. So we'll see if there's going to be a comp difference going on with it. But so far, at least it'll have to be into the teamwork for SOTR starting off here on the attack side. Looking for a very slow control towards the middle to start and just try to break util at the very beginning.
I've liked Siri on the chamber before. It's not, you don't put like a ton of hours into it, but when it does show up, it's gonna have an impact. And well, you gotta try and hold back this tidal wave. Oh, the jet dashes past you, teleport back, but still within arm's reach. We'll be able to fade back behind the smoke. So SOTRs have infiltrated, really liking the pathing towards mid and clear out through main. So once this plant goes down, probably try to fall back. They don't have anything from Avery. They'll have the turret set up on the post plane as well. They can play contact, but on this flank, May has to hold back yet another wave. Now the concuss is going to affect things, but look at this bailout. The teamwork is really what's making the dream work. Invert, that super sub coming in for SOTRs, 3K, and now needs to close it out with Oasis against Eli. 1v1 to determine it seems, but Invert closed it out with 4.
A great start as well. 2 orbs away of getting the ultimate, and you already see here the pain points of having this KJ in your composition. A little bit of lady luck, should I say, when you saw this triple flame coming out from one side of Ghost Gaming. That alarm bot wasn't even activated because Madison was moving with the rest of her team to try to execute towards this B site, which then means you can really move through, but you kind of went into Astral Form right above the alarm bot, and at the same time, you had 3 players rotating back from SOTRs on the post plant, so they should have continued to walk contact. I think they would have had an opportunity here for Ghost Gaming to have a little bit more of a surprise. That said, that forces them to go onto an eco. You see a bandit coming out as well as silent stack for Ghost Gaming into this B side. You still see the same type of like Siri holding that B side, playing and showing herself a little bit more. So if she TPs out, there's at least 3 players to support on the crossfire. But SOTRs, they understand this. There's going to be a stack somewhere, and there's going to be maybe a push somewhere, a trap play. So they're just using their util and making sure that the ones that have to move to clear out space are moving as a group. So they go for the triple push, they grab the orb, and they're in prime position right now in the second wave at the mid mark of this round.
Just for that pistol to be as close as it was, and of course your Phoenix being the one that grabs all of those kills, that's massive to get the run it back into round 3. This is how SOTRs are going to have even more of a boon to try and convert that bonus. You know, depending on some shenanigans. I know our desk was very much looking forward to this match just based on game changers. Can really throw you for a loop on really just turning around all your expectations. So SOTRs, once they've collected an orb on one side of the map, they're now going to leverage
30 seconds left.
These Guardians, of course, the Outlaw to watch over. Keeping a keen eye as soon as that orb does get tapped, see if there's a reaction. And now it seems like things are suspiciously quiet. But watch out for this curveball from Eli, and the Prowler will push them off the angle. It's an exchange though. And despite that Prowler being there, there's an ultimate clapback from the duelists of Ghosts in that back hallway. So some really good damage being done, despite having just bandits and pistols. It's a 1v1, 7 HP versus 20. Vanita's hoping to give the thrifty, and Ghosts pull it off.
Oof. A little bit off kilter there for SOTRs trying to scale back into their B site. Again, they were working everything very calmly to making sure that they're grabbing all their orbs, but they're taking too much of their time. At some point, you needed to have an early activation from Oasis walking down that B line just to make sure so they could find out that there's an actual stack or not. Even if they give their life away, it's still information to say, actually, there's 3 players over on this B side. Let's just continue to pivot and pressure over A where we have soft side. But you played with too much caution and no information that you walked into a beautiful pop flash from Eli, and then the full swing coming out from Ghost Gaming, and it actually just demolished SOTR trying to go for that plant on that B site. So an eco round that will come out here for SOTR, and the orbs that you picked up, the ults that were supposed to be available for this round for Invert, will be nullified to the next round.
Just being enclosed in such a small area because of the Astra smokes kind of did isolate SOTR and broke up the team play that they're so well known for. And now in mid, I'm gonna have to go through Art. Depending on, I'm gonna have a concuss or something off the stars. You don't even need it. Eli just floors 2. And SOTR are gonna be sent behind even more. Now it's the Sheriffs that ideally want to hold an angle, but Ghost is sitting very pretty after that Thrifty.
Definitely looks like it's gonna be a battle of the Phoenixes so far in recency bias, right? Only 2 rounds were played, but both Eli and Invert are popping off so far. Both of them will have their running back for the next round, which will be a pivotal one, a big swing round where both teams would want to leverage the running back a little bit more for takes and retakes, depending on what side. A plant would be good, at least for SOTR, as they're walking in contact, just trying to silently make it in. And there you go, confirmed for the plant. Nice little pick by May, though.
One enemy remaining.
Ah, that's good damage. Wait, May is popping heads. Holy. Man, something about these GC shares keep you on the edge of your seat until the round is officially over. But for Ghost Gaming to be as stoic as they were to pull off the Thrifty on a retake of all things, and then to still pull through on another round, giving now you have the battle of 2 run-it-backs. We're in for pretty much earned that after round 2. And now Eli, after that pivotal round, that's going to be what could be proactive about Ghost, or could play for the retake.
Kind of had a what if, and you wish you would have had that plant, though, from Avery, who they got off the spike plant when May started getting some picks. I think that would allow for them to get maybe some full shields for those players that are playing half shields. So Sari in this round with the Outlaw could definitely do some damage if Ghost is able to push the opponents back here from the A line.
First run it back on the approach here. Now a lot of space, it's a battle, but Oasis, I should say, goes unnoticed. But that Khaleesi, queen pick now from Ghost, secures the spike. They have the wall up. The only thing that could salvage this for SOTR is Inver going unnoticed and Battison going towards spawn. It's all going to be about timing here. To push and pull as Invert may want to try and get some attention. Is definitely getting that from Eli as a run it back does expire. Battison still forming around, but Sari suspected something. Love that read out of Ghost. Now the win conditions are gone for SOTR, and it's a 3-round win streak for Ghost.
And you'd think it'd be overkill here to use the run it back currently on a 4 versus 2, but it's nice for them to know what information they can gather. Clearing Art, looking at the jump up, they don't see anybody there, so the avenues would probably be back towards A main or towards spawn, so that allows Ghost Gaming to be a little bit more proactive off the information that Eli gets. And it looks like you had Sari at the right spot to get the backstab kill into Battison, but I got to do a little bit of a praise here onto Marceline, aka Khaleesi, for that mowdown. You know, a fun fact that we were talking about when we were looking at the Swiss stage was that Marceline was getting coached by Sleepy Aria to perfect the Neon. But now that we're currently playing with the Neon nerfs, that movement and mobility is not going to be as big as a factor anymore. So it really still comes down to some heavy firepower that Marceline definitely brings.
And Marceline got praise from people like Cryo and Asuna when she played in that Spotlight series. So top talent and continues to thrive. Will be suppressing SOTR into the middle of the map. This is a very scary position, especially with your spikes sitting there and you basically have ghosts. But for SOTR, this is going to be a long-term project. And here is the swing out. Khaleesi trying to heat up, but thinking that SOTR have abandoned the post. Khaleesi did not find her moment there.
Yeah, thinking she could also do an easy slide tackle versus Sheriffs, but unfortunately could connect the shot, but does some good damage onto Avery, who forfeits the Phantom over to the hands of Oasis, and they're going to try to work together here. This is still an eco round for Sentinels. That previous round was an important round that we talked about. The swing round was going to break the econ here or make it for Sentinels if they were able to convert the round or not. Which then means now both of them are spotted and stalled, and the repositioning from Ghost is perfect as they're setting up this crossfire here. Contact will be on Eli, and then the swing should be coming in from backside.
Ooh, and that star is gonna make that pathing even more difficult. Double swing out, and the Phantom is not able to do any more damage, so I'm gonna make it 4 in a row now for Ghost. And this is the Ghost Gaming roster that had that very surprising, and you call it an upset, call a spade, that upset win over SRG. The first team in ages to knock down the champs of GC to that lower bracket, which they are still hoping to get their revenge. And if Ghost Gaming pull this off, they may just encounter them. We'll see how today shakes out, because anything in Game Changers can happen. But right now, Ghost Gaming, they're finding a lot of success.
Yeah, if anything, Sentinels have to start shaking up the pressure that they're currently feeling here. This is an elimination matchup, and they're kind of, at least for the community, kind of surprised to see an organization under the Sentinels banner already in the lower brackets fighting for their survival. So Sari's trying to find some space. A little bit of a tug from Battison, but ooh, Battison's able to escape.
Oh, really needing Avery in this too, with the Nightfall win con and just overall Prowler haunts. It's how you can get information from so far away or tucked around these corners, because dislodging Ghosts from this back B hallway has been such a nuisance, because it's usually Khaleesi or somebody who wins basically every duel. Sentinels, though, will be on the approach, and that's something they have to keep in mind. And maybe the Cosmic Divide may just seal off some angles that they find troublesome.
Yeah, that might be the desperate play just to try to get into a site for a plant.
Ooh, a bit of a shake there from Khaleesi, and she'll have time to readjust. And with the star up, Sentinels are now going to be delayed on that entry and going above and beyond, but unfortunately 6 feet under. Sentinels, they just can't get any space going or win any of these duels. Invert, 25 HP, nothing to heal themselves with. We'll just have to hope to keep the lineup, and that crosshair's broken. Beautiful flash there from Eli.
Yeah, and great communication coming out here for the side of Ghost Gaming and support, because Gia, when she dropped that grab well, when the exit was coming in from Blue Water, that actually stalled everything behind the dash from Oasis. So they were caught off. The flash got some value from Inverts, but they couldn't get their guns out because they were just stuck in the middle of that well, which then allowed Ghost Gaming to just swing out and take down some players that were full vulnerable. So an easy kill. Feels like now you're seeing a timeout potential here coming out from Sentinels, and gives me an opportunity to talk about what you were just trying to touch upon a couple of rounds ago here, Lemon Kiwi, about Ghost Gaming surprisingly where they're currently standing right now and going into this main event. Because yeah, Dark Horror Story, or Beautiful Story in the first place, I had a chance to meet with Fangs, one of the subs over at Ghost Gaming, with her and Sleepy Aria. They came over to the VCTs to watch the Americas matchup, and you know, she was just saying, hopefully we get a spot to be able to make it to the main event. They're like only 1 win away to be able to qualify. And suddenly the first matchup that they have to play against is Shopify Rebellion. So to be able to win that matchup brings you a lot of confidence to be able to go for a deep run in this main event for stage 2.
Speaking of deep runs, I mean, I really like this clash between Sari and Battison, because Sari is very much a brand new player to GC. First team was late last year, and Battison on the side of Sentinels was one of Sari's first teammates on TV last year. So to go up against someone that, you know, probably inspired you, and it was your first impression of what competitive play was like, and Sari continued to compete, and now on a different team, is kind of what GC is all about. It is growth, evolution, and trying to build a career that you can prolong into other platforms and eventually into the VCTs. So Addison versus Sari there, and Sari's having a wonderful day on the chamber, 5-2, and will bring the up into this equation. And they've been pretty trusted with solo holding B, and worst case, you've had this Asher, you've had Gia right around the corner at all times.
So unfortunately, a tech pause now, so it wasn't really a timeout for Sentinels so far, but definitely a great moment for them to start recuperating their senses a little bit. You know, usually in these moments, you can't really talk to your team. The coaches don't have the opportunity to talk to their players either, so there's no way for them to really talk about the next round, but at least it gives them a chance here to really reflect into micro fixing individually what they could really do here so far. Because again, I feel like if you're trying to come out with a lot of confidence with this composition here, Oasis, yes, is gonna have a very hard time playing the attack side. This is gonna be very normal to see a Jet just trying to dash in with today's meta and trying to get value. And if you look at what support Oasis is gonna have to get into the site, not too much, right? To be honest with you, because the Phoenix is probably just gonna flash close range between through the smokes, and there's nothing to really go for deep angles for the Jet to really play inside of her smoke and get some kills through that. So you're gonna need a little bit more teamwork right now from SOTR to maybe try to get better openers for Oasis.
And I've seen a lot of growth out of Oasis as a player. Was on the original Blue Otters core with May, like way before all the rest joined, and I actually played like a ton of Clove as like a unique quirk on a lot of maps that you wouldn't expect it. But this is a player that brings a lot of experience from LATAM, I believe, winning a GC1 main event with Akave. So then Oasis comes over to NA side of things and is now trying to be in the duelist shoes. And you know, GC rosters sometimes have a lot of interchanging roles. A lot of people start off on duelist and then eventually hone in on their specialties after that, and Oasis coming in as the duelist here, when that can change. Even someone like May used to be a duelist before moving on to the controller role, and Astra has a lot of plates to juggle and spin over there.
Yeah, so right now at least I have to commend how Ghost Gaming are really setting up their defense so far on this map of Pearl. I think they're doing an excellent job as well to give a lot of that responsibility that Siri's going to take over sites and hold sites to her own, while the rest are, I mean, just 2 rounds ago you saw a nice little 1-3-1 where SOTR for a couple of rounds from pistol to 3rd round, they were trying to get a lot of street control. So Ghost Gaming wanted to challenge that right away, so they had 3 players playing towards that street, and then they just challenged it as soon as the Prowler came through, which is why Avery instantly got picked off. And then if you were going to try to push them away, then at least you still have Siri watching the A line, you still have a trademark watching art, and then you could sort of adapt as you go throughout the round and see where SOTR will be heading towards to. But at least from like the first read that you have in your macro against the setup of SOTR, they're doing a great job getting these first bloods.
Really are. And it's Ghost who could do a good job of kind of leveraging the chamber in this situation. Now being able to afford the op, which is so huge for a map like Pearl, especially on these long sight lines, and it could allow your other duelists to fight through art, which Eli and Khaleesi have had multi-kill moments. They're triple positive for a reason. And you have another run it back, just 1 orb faster than Invert, which could make all the difference. Now, obviously, it's the attacking Phoenix that will be taking the initiative and usually popping that first, but we'll see if Eli, now having that run it back, may proc a mid-fight. Well, that no one is really there for. So SOTR's having Nightfall to rain down, do so with a bunch of stingers, and based on the placements of these smokes, I mean, SOTR would want to be able to take the site, but the defensive smoke makes SOTR hesitate on how they cross and disrespect this defensive setup. At least the stingers are doing damage up close, but the poke at a distance from Ghost is just tearing SOTR apart. Who on this lower buy, this basically a thrifty from SOTR. It's not going to be a miracle that happens, and the Nightfall doesn't give him any advantages.
I love the buys as well. I mean, you're shutting down a half buy for SOTR, so just trying to be very aggressive, trying to get a plant at least for rounds, orbs moving into the next round. But that neon on an Odin is going to be a thorn to the side of a lot of players so far who's up against that rifle. But at the same time, I love that Evil Eli one more time using a run it back just to try to help the team to make sure that they not only guarantee rounds but are doing a good job cycling ults. And Eli's just fragging out their mind so far, so getting another ult probably is going to be in the cards for the next couple of rounds. So why the hell not?
Run it back available from the offense this time, and those 2 ults didn't help SOTR, but now this is time to make the most out of your rifle buy, and this doesn't get pulled off from SOTR. I really worry about having to go back on another eco, and then you're still fighting this uphill battle with no equipment. Like you said, big purchases owed and up as Eli is starting to test the waters.
You should run.
Position does get revealed. Now, going to be locked out of the site, and Eli is still front and center, and this is really scary. Some people could be detained. Now this opens up the site here for SOTR.
Nice try too, but we'll talk about that in a sec. A full exit comes in from SOTR right now, and they're trying to move it behind to run it back.
The concusses, the Astra's really pushing Ghost off these angles so they can't work off of each other. And Enver gets the information, and the rest of SOTRs get the execution. And the plant on top. Need this post plant to be ironclad. It should be in a 5 versus 2. It's not easy to push with the op, but Khaleesi already getting speedy with it. Tucked to the corner, finds the angle, but reinforcements taken down behind Khaleesi. So now just they continues to isolate these 1v1s. SOTRs have to give a lot of respect to this. The taps are really crazy from Khaleesi, but time is what's of the essence, and SOTRs are going to be playing their lives. As soon as the spike gets tapped, going to get attention, but this neon wall could cause some nerves here. SOTRs may just have to leave cover. No, they're going to stay really patient. Good decision at the end there from Avery, and SOTRs are on the board.
And good for Ghost Gaming to still try to go for a fight for that 2vx, because you're trying to make it expensive. Blue Otter or SOTRs have been having a hard time clinging some rounds together and keeping the economy straight, so this is going to be an expensive round going to the next one. Gravel slightly missed, but the idea was there. I think we saw a beautiful seize in the very beginning, though, to slow down the attack of SOTRs so that Eli could move to the right moment to try to get the Blaze Wall and Hot Hands onto the Killjoy ultimate, just to deny the lockdown. But unfortunately, the Molly slightly missed, so they had to fall back and give up a lot of space. If not, they were already ready to be propped up for a fight. So a little bit of a nano mistake, if I could put it that way, of lack of saying other words than micro and macro for little jitter mistakes. But still, Ghost Gaming are in a strong buy this round and an easy kill for Seri.
Big for Ghost. I mean, it's a brick wall. I can't even count on one hand the amount of times SOTRs have gotten a plant down just by the skin of their teeth. Just going through art, you get multi-kill. Getting through B, there's an op or some kind of sniper from Seri, but Invert pulling off some heroics there. 1v3. Have to pull off the ace, and that feels near impossible, but Ghost are just gonna regroup. So that worst case scenario, they could trade.
It almost feels like it's the game plan for Ghost Gaming to start, right? A little bit of a high-low here, an easy one, even if they weren't really as coordinated on that high-low, because Gia felt like I felt like they were maybe falling back to try to set a star down or something. But nonetheless, moot point. The most important thing is the game plan you currently have for Ghost Gaming is they're really challenging the forward lines of SOTR and not giving them a chance to really go for the full flood execs that they are usually good at here for SOTRs, because as Gompers mentioned before this game, 59 and 82 in post-plant attack wins, right? 72%. If you're looking at it so far, they've had one defuse only on the defense. Every other one has been through elimination. So going through just eliminating first bloods and second blood every single time for Ghost Gaming at under the 30-minute or 30-second mark when the barriers come down is very big for Ghost Gaming on the defense so far.
With how rich Ghost Gaming are, like, I wish that were me for real. Buying an op almost every round, or being able to anyway. Cosmic Divide. Is Seri gonna want to swing on the other side of this? Because that would be a gutsy play. But the smarter one, oh, gutsy, but the safer one being playing off of Khaleesi. But at least you get information. All of SOTRs are around the corner. The Nightfall rains down, and wow. Great job from Avery setting up these sheriffs for success. And Ghost Gaming are kind of going for some cheeky solo plays. Now let's see if the teamwork can pull through, and it does in a lower buy. Does give SOTRs the win here.
Wow. So Ghost Gaming dismantled SOTRs the previous round, but then just a simple Cosmic Divide where Ghost Gaming are trying to play a fight, timing fight by swinging out through the smoke or the Cosmic Divide, and everybody just falls down one by one. I mean, look at all these kills. They're trying to drop down to getting backstabbed. They're trying to go for a flash to getting hit from the back as well. They weren't really as coordinated to at least get the open space of that B side before finding the tight angles, and that was easy for SOTRs to set up here on that pulse plan. So back to that same conversation that Gompers mentioned before, you let them plant, there's a bigger chance for them to really take this one here for Sentinels.
Flash out, Eli in so much trouble, and man, the kind of Ghost Gaming reacted too late to help out their teammate. Reset the run it back, but can Ghost Gaming really escape? Can they really push back against this? SOTRs. Now this is the level of confidence we wanted to see. Keep punishing Ghost if they're gonna be on these solo angles. Speaking of that, you have Seri working through the back side of the map, but in a situation like this, you may want to just keep the op. 300 credits and 2 rounds left in the half. SOTRs, ever since they took that timeout, they're 2-2, and they're about to be 3-2 in round wins. So whatever they discussed in the timeout was the key. Try and not make this first half too painful.
Khaleesi's the only one that's trying to make it expensive for them too, and now as you're trying to hunt down Seri, not a good idea because again, everybody else has enough money to buy the next round, so it'd be a better idea for SOTRs to save their weapons. They don't have, I mean, actually, they're gonna get 3K across the board. They're gonna be fine to buy as well. Chase this one down too, and Seri might only have to tell you with an outlaw in the next round. Oh my god, if you're surviving this, would have been insane. But nope. Good answer back from SOTRs by just throwing a simple, hot hands into the entrance of the A site, and then it really split out the attack. Look at how Eli is solo, running back, getting fully blinded, and then 3 players are isolated for 2 or 3 scenarios of 2 versus 1s as both duelists are running down the A side. So just simple things that Ghost Gaming this time weren't ready for. And as much as we were praising how good they were and aggressive they were at the beginning of these rounds, it seems though finally SOTRs are adapting to it.
Now another A orb fight. Oasis quick to take the space around the box, and with the power of teammates and flashes and everything, you have Ghost Gaming in a corner, but Vanitas will fight back, but the trades favor SOTRs, and that's all it takes. You continuously have this defense on the back foot, and now in their own graves, as despite a 6-1 lead for Ghost, we end the half 7-5.
Yeah, that's a big turnaround here for SOTRs since the small unfortunate technical time out that we had with one player had to, at least one player in the server, I'm not too sure which side it was, but one of them had to reboot, and it gave a chance for SOTRs to just reboot their confidence, and they string out 3 rounds in a row for 10-12. And again, you saw it on the front from that replay. Hot hands splits out the defense aggression, and then they have 3 or 4 versus 2 this time around. That was great fights coming out from SOTRs, and now they are going to try to play this defensive side. They're having a similar setup with a 4-1, but it's going to be a quad walk up towards the front B instead of playing for some mid control.
Let's see. Invert has been really good with these flashes and how they've been able to work with Oasis, with the flash and dashes. Star may have allowed someone to cross, and SOTRs identify that, and they just have the numbers to not get surprised. And now behind them is going to be some trouble. Ghost flash out. Beautiful setup from Eli, but the shot's at a distance. Invert with another strong pistol performance. Still the numbers on SOTR's side. 2 versus 2, though. The odds are even, and Ghost Gaming abandoned ship to plan elsewhere.
That's just very nice, though, from Ghost Gaming to not go for a plan, but fight back into the B line when they had the information of the 2 players falling at the front, which were Khaleesi and Seri. And then they're identifying the rotate. There was a little bit of a over push coming out here from Battison, and it allows here Ghost Gaming to potentially still close out the 2v2.
You see that Eli and Vanitas want to maybe play off a flash here and just try to get ahead of this fight, but now splitting up because you also don't want to get pushed off the spike here, or just you want to be as close as you can. So now you hear the stomping. Invert on the front lines, pointing the shoulders of Vanitas, who still has one chance to fight back, and baits out for Eli. Flash, spike getting tapped. Eli confident that they've gotten off the spike, and now is just flashing to delay, and plenty of time for Invert. Gives SOTRs another pistol.
Yeah, Invert, gets another quad kill for SOTRs to be able to get a pistol round from first half to second half. So you're definitely going to have to thank her as they're able to keep their game close, or the game close overall. I like this little fight again, the quad walk up here from SOTRs. When you don't have a fade dogging or eyeing at the very beginning, it catches the 2 players off guard. So a little bit of a good read and start for the defensive side, and a nice little 1v1 mind games from Invert to be able to win that in the end. But with that plan, though, Ghost Gaming are still going to try to go for mainly just pistols. There's armor in the classic for Evil Eli, just because you're trying to add survivability and a little bit more team pack fights. Allow for them to even build up orbs if they can get some trades.
Put off opportunity. Mayas to be stoic. Not just that, lethal, deadly. While Flash can only do so much, but SOTRs, they have a good buddy system to keep these small fights not too disastrous in a way where they don't have to give up too much map control. SOTRs will keep to their posts. It's Ghost Gaming. Oh, they had almost a high-low there, and they split off for a second. And Oasis will split them again. So now SOTRs double their numbers. And it was an anti-eco, but a stinger has been recovered here from Eli. Depending how close they can get to round this corner. I mean, I don't think Avery is going to let this happen. Just to spam through the smoke is enough to kill this round. And SOTRs will even things up, 7-7.
At least you're seeing here the small armor that you buy with the classic allows for you to have a stinger upgrade and still a little bit of armor left. So there was a little bit of hope there with the art control, but they lost too many players in the process, and all of them were just trying to find their timings towards the end. Gia shot her shot in the front of the A site, couldn't get a kill, and then all the information was given away, and it was an easy hold in the end for SOTRs. Yeah, tying up this game, but this is still a big gun round coming up here for Ghost Gaming. One ult orb away for Evil Eli, so it might be another one of those rounds where it's run it back versus run it back. So controlling top B is the name of the game.
Oh, Khalees, I thought they were going to drop down before the second bullet. Another amazing pick with the Outlaw from Oasis. Now the run it back activated. Eli getting active towards the B site. Gia holds it down in mid. Beautiful 2K. And SOTRs just can't get any flanks going. The plant will still go through, and SOTRs have their own run it back, but it's probably not worth the investment at this point. Invert 1v4, very familiar situation for them, and 2 flashes. Ooh, okay, quick taps, dodges the one, crosshair is sick, make it a 3K. Invert in the spotlight. Don't let it get too bright. Okay, dodging now the grab well, knew that was coming out. A lot of concussives, the clutch from Invert. Eclipses Ghost Gaming, and SOTRs take back the lead.
No way that just happened too, and I didn't like it that we tucked inside that B site for the plant in the first place. They already did such a great job clearing out that B site, and even on top of that, Oasis challenging with the Outlaw or run it back and gets picked off was not the plan you should have done. I think after those 2 kills from Gia, I think they should have called the fall back to just group up, because of course everybody else is going to rotate across. But then again, it's supposed to be a 4 versus 1, guys. There's no way you're giving Invert 4 individual 1v1s, but you did.
And Invert with the Red Bull clutch has subbed in for 2 total matches. Well, this being the 3rd for SOTRs. 100% win rate, by the way. So 1 in Swiss, 1 in playoffs. And steps into the Phoenix shoes to go up against Eli, which is a tough task. The kneecap shatters there for Khaleesi. And the big ace up Ghost Gaming sleeve is gone. This whole lead feels gone. And I mean, this was pretty much a save from Ghost Gaming. So we're going to be able to pull off a thrifty. That thrifty that their first win was off of a thrifty. And they set them on this crazy a 6-round win streak. But Ghost Gaming have now just lost the lead and have really lost control of the entirety of Pearl. And nice setup off the flashes. SOTRs tucking into the smoke is also another indication of just how smart they are and how predictive they are of the utility of Ghost.
It was interesting too to see the buy from Eli going for a judge, small shields, and I'm like, how are you going to get some kills with a judge and to aiming down the staircase? But it was the combination of that smoke and mulling through it so they could take control of art. Maybe get some close range battles there, but lots of high lows and a crossfire setup on the A side. They were just ready for it. The SOTRs, that is, now going to 7 unanswered rounds in total, but yet Ghost still trying to search for their first round on their attack side. And this is why this timeout's coming through, to see if they could muster something up. Remember, the run it back didn't get, well, it did get some value for a B site, but they got that foiled by the Invert 4K Red Bull clutch.
Yeah.
This time, at least they have the Nightfall to work with.
Yeah, and speaking of Avery, I said it was kind of Battison versus Sari in terms of former teammates, but we forget that Avery was also a former Ghost Gaming super sub, so subbing in as the Omen in GC2 playoffs at Neon Dream Invitational. Last main event for them was in GC3 2024, so it's been a hot second since Avery has been in a high-stakes match like this, and had a really nice 3K with the Stinger, brawls very nicely close range, and now that you have the Odin, you have a Nightfall, you can kind of sit back and let Invert keep dropping bombs, because holy, 20 kills is no joke.
Yeah. 1 away from their Nightfall, too, if they're able to get that spray with the Odin. But I mean, that's a perfect way to counter the Nightfall that's available for the attack side too. If Avery puts themselves at the right spot too, and they just mow down the Nightfall when the player's falling behind the smokes, that's a GG right there. So that's why here Ghost Gaming are going to avoid the extremities for now, to not go into a potential scope on the defense, which Oasis does have here on this B site, and just try to contain middle a little bit more.
Ooh. Well, Sari gets contained in a coffin. And that means Ghost won't have a solid lurk. I think Gia can follow through A and main. Prowler gonna detect that player close, and Ghost Gaming will have to maybe leave an insert. And well, we'll hope that they could escort their spike forward and not worry too much. Nightfall, the focus is forward. The focus is winning here for Ghost and evening things up 4-4 apiece. But the spike is not safe enough to plant, and they are worried about that art cross. SOTRs never got addressed in that moment, but Vanitas just pops out, deals with it swiftly. Now the spike is down.
A big round two. They needed that for Ghost Gaming, and they do get value off the Nightfall. The 4 versus 2, and also very difficult for you to retake. I mean, Oasis did pick up a rifle on a rotate over. Oh no, I forgot Invert's still alive. This is still very doable.
Clutchable. 1v3 though, and kind of a tough one. Let's go through dugout first. The speed, the adjustment. Wow. Composed though, but not having enough seconds to deal with this spike because Gia is just so far away, but they stack together. How does Invert keep getting away with murder? Red Bull clutch queen here for SOTRs.
Oh, you thought you put up a fight?
I cursed it. That's my bad. I was like, oh, Gia's fine back there.
Yeah. I mean, 2 big clutches for SOTRs. That's probably the... Any momentum and confidence is probably gone if I'm a Ghost Gaming player. At least if I'm in that server right now, I'm like, what are we doing, guys? Even right now, I'm watching this clutch happen, and I just put my face in my hands. I was like, how did this happen? Because so far, here, the protocols, the tap on the first spike, and you're throwing a grab well, but I don't think that Khaleesi should be swinging out on this, because it's confirmed that your opponent's going to be off the spike. So play the time, play the patience, stay tucked in, force them to come towards you so you get the information of where the last player is coming at. And instead, they're just force swinging every single time, and you see what happened last time. You can't do this against a player like Invert so far. I'm gonna change their playstyle here on the pulse plant for Ghost Gaming.
And once Ghost Gaming just minimized those kinds of mistakes, they were still 3v1, 4v1. Like, SOTRs, I don't know who they pray to, but it is getting them to double digits. It is having them in a flawless defensive half, and the Nightfall all over Ghost Gaming, but they still clap back as Avery with a 3K, the 180 towards Gia, which good jiggle with the Guardian. Stops that once and for all. 2 versus 2, spike recovery. Still a regroup needed here with Sari and Gia.
Beautiful team fight though, and Sari has a timing.
That's a long barrel though.
That's why
Good enough.
It's a free kill.
Yeah. Good spot.
Yeah, I was gonna mention it's a nice team fight that we had towards middle, but again, the issue of having the Killjoy utility like disabled when you're trying to move with the team to fight towards middle, so it allowed Sari to also move down and find a timing. But of course, losing the life of Baddison also makes it super easy for Sari to go on a stroll. Now May has to try to clutch a 1 versus 2. Man, you should be in a prime position, right? I think Ghost Gaming is not going to lose a third 2vx post-plant scenario.
First proper main event for May, besides kickoff, of course, with the Blue Otters. A lot of pressure on this player. Very familiar with what is distracting them off the spike, the defuse. Gets at least halfway and almost had a chance against Sari there. But hey, first round for Ghost Gaming that they're able to close out in the second half. They're still within 2.
That's the other thing I wanted to mention when they lost that previous 1 versus X from Invert over on that A site is the next taps that are coming through. You now have to play the mind games, right? Swing at 3.5, swing at 2.5, swing at maybe at 6, swing at 5.5, just trying to figure out if the player is going to try to go for sticking at halfway or full, so you could actually find the jiggles and the timings through there, and making sure that you play the clock into your favor again. And I like that we did this at least off the grab well to be able to get that.
Run it back from Inver. Look at all the space. I mean, going towards spawn, you're gonna hear this coming, and Not getting much information, but you have Seri nervous. They're going to focus forward now because that has expired. Running back from Eli, trying to get eyes towards the defender's spawn. Pretty happy with knowing that Sentinels are still rotating in. But this B-Link has been not watched from Ghost Gaming. Still leaning back on the Cosmic Divide and the wall put up from Eli. It's the Khaleesi Judge will be what's holding this power position as they're grouped up behind this. Sentinels is going to be really difficult to dislodge this. And they don't have nothing from Avery, but they do have some nice shots. And Ghost Gaming, they hesitate. Could be tough. Now the Mei Cosmic Divide, I mean, the seals in their own fate. And it's Mei against the world. And the last laser beam here from Ghost to get another one. And that's back-to-back rounds for Ghost Gaming to get back into this game.
This is what I love from Ghost Gaming. Sometimes you put a question mark to say, hi, how come we didn't follow Evil Eli towards that spawn off the running back to get more space towards the staircase? But what I did like was that they all stayed in that side instead of playing more towards that long B side. They had 3 players this time around play all the back hauls because they knew that there was going to be at some point some sort of Cosmic Divide for the retake. So you can't force yourself to swing out from the B long line. It has to be the person, the people, sorry, in the back of the B site to be able to win those fights, and they did so perfectly here for Ghost Gaming. So staying in this fight at least. Although there are some rounds that are slipping from their fingers where it shouldn't have, they are definitely maintaining their composure right now and not seeing too many aggravated movements coming out from Ghost Gaming since those clutches. So they definitely have a stronger mental than I have going into this game.
And that's what you need in a lower bracket. You can be eliminated, and top 6 has been the best result for a lot of the players on Ghost Gaming. Marceline, Vanitas, Gia. Or Gia's top 8, but Marceline and Vanitas finishing top 6 with either 100 Thieves or Blue Otters last year. They want to beat that high score. Ghost Gaming. Nightfall in through the site's going to hit 2. Tucked within the smoke, though, is Avery, who at least cuts off 1. But Ghost Gaming have more than enough in their back pocket to make this an easy win. But Sentinels, you just never know what they could be cooking. And I think that Invert being dead does give you a sigh of relief if you're Ghost Gaming. But this dugout can be a pain point to try and get through. Is lining up now the Sheriff. Now the spike has been planted. It's time to get back to business. 10-10. The equalizer found now from Ghost Gaming.
A big round 2. And now since the timeout, they've converted some big rounds for Ghost Gaming as well. So this is now 3 rounds in a row, a tied game 10-10. That was an eco round that we had previously, but now this is also the operator back in the hands of Oasis. Remember when I said that it was going to be a hard first half for a player like Oasis to try to get space for the team, but they're definitely giving Oasis a lot of responsibility and trust to be able to lock down that B-side solo, which they've been doing an excellent job getting first bloods when you're being challenged on that line. So Ghost wants to avoid this and fight the A-line.
Yeah, I wonder if Khaleesi avoided that flash. Either way, they found safety. Now no longer. It's spam. Run it back. Eli resets, and Otters just hesitating on taking that space. And it's Mei that does so to at least claim another kill. And Sentinels putting up the best fight that they can. And now Avery can just try to delay things as best as they can. And needing Pattison to step up. Now pushed off the angle. Ghost Gaming have the advantage. And they have the space as Avery breaks the crosshair. Not sure about the close left, and so much tension on the Sentinels camp. That lead that they had by 3 rounds is starting to evaporate as Oasis 1v3. Job's not done.
Good delays here, though.
Patience. Yeah.
If Oasis goes for a tap, they should do a blaze wall across here from A-main onto the spike, so that cancels out the first one. They have a flash for second tap. They have a double swing for the third. So first one was actually a jiggle for the TP first. They should be able to take this down on Eli and Seri. There's that blaze wall.
That blaze wall. Cooks the sightline too. Really nicely placed. And Seri 3K having an incredible series so far on the chamber. And has been playing a lot of things for the team, and especially, like I said, as that new player coming in just late last year with TV, super new player to the scene, and Chamber is a very important responsibility as that solo lurk, someone who is going to have more selfish utility. As long as you're putting up the kills, I mean, Seri is delivering big on Pearl.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was, you saw that replay. I don't know if it was intentional from the way that they're throwing their blaze walls here too for the Phoenix over on invert, so that the other two could still have some line to fight with towards that A line. Because think about the Phoenix blaze wall. There's always going to be like a slight gap between the body and the wall where it actually starts. So sometimes if you do want to fully block that line and block the vision of the attackers moving forward, or anybody trying to get full vision, you have to back up a little bit more to have more value on that wall. But it almost worked out in their favor though by leaving that gap, because they almost won most of those fights. But Avery was left alone on A site. Sari did an excellent job lurking towards that art over into the A line to be able to get 2 picks and open up that site here for Ghost Gaming to capitalize on that 2 versus 1. And because of that death onto Oasis and the rest of the team, this timeout has to be super important if they could convert something with this mixed buy that they have. And it's invert with the Guardian, so I'm definitely putting the percentage of success up at like 75% right now.
Yeah, right. And both these teams have been so swingy, so streaky. There's not a lot of rounds being traded. It's one team that goes on a 5-win streak, the other goes on a 3-win streak, the other one's on a 4-win streak. It could both bonus being converted as well by SOTRs and both pistols is what's keeping them still in the game. But all rides on what they discussed after their final timeout is now sitting on the edge, the extremity, as the Prowler reveals May, and that's tough. Information from SOTRs as they threw the Avery Hunt. Nightfall available, but is it really worth investing against a Cosmic Divide that is still active? Prowler. Now that the Cosmic Divide falls, SOTRs are still gate-kept from even being able to see who is still within the site or who's playing out of it. Flash play from invert, double swing out. Good safe play from Sari.
Beautiful.
4 versus 2. And just good rifles available from Ghost to just make this easy and to get themselves on map point.
I honestly was thinking about that line that you were questioning here, Lemon Kiwi. Should they use their ults? Should they invest into that? I feel like they should have. Because right now, if you're looking at the exec from Ghost Gaming, they threw a Cosmic Divide and went all hands on deck into the A site. So if you actually force out the lockdown, you're starting to hear footsteps coming through. The Nightfall as well to start clearing, getting information so that you could maybe try to force them as they're trying to eliminate the lockdown. I think it would have given you some space and better ways to fight on that retake. But looks like the timeout is to focus on just bring this into overtime at the end of the day. And Ghost Gaming, they still want to go for a hard hit towards the A side, but all this to play a little bit more inserts this time around, right? You're playing a 1-1-3 instead, but still conditioning some pressure towards the A side. And now we'll see here on the flank watchers, especially Gia right now, she could spot some players.
Yeah, Gia's been a really good anchor when it comes to this mid watch. It's going to stick around just for that. Then you have a lurk on the other side there from Sari, who is also starting to walk down. There are so many ults available from the SOTR side. It's not just about forcing the 11th win for them, but to go into OT. So you still have to be economical when you can. Let's see what they invest first. Now having to play for retake and May not being there, not getting that pick is disastrous because Avery is going to have to wait even longer. Before the Nightfall shows up. Double duelist at that A-link. Run it back, invested. Inver goes in to get information. The Nightfall to suppress Ghost, but Eli goes in with confidence and goes in with a vengeance to remove 2 from the backline of SOTRs. And now the win. 3 versus 1 as Oasis. Time to clutch or kick on the SOTRs map pick here of Pearl. Oh, and what a shot from Sari to wave goodbye to SOTRs on map 1. 13-10 for Ghost Gaming.